Hello, and welcome back to English Speaking Corner. This is your quiet space to practice English, not just by listening, but by speaking. I am Sarah, and I am here to help you build real confidence. Today, we are going to talk about something that happens to almost every English learner. It is a moment of fear. It is the moment when the room goes quiet.
Hi, everyone. I am Mark. And yes, Sarah, I know exactly what you were talking about. You are in a conversation, everything is going well, you are listening, you are nodding your head, and then suddenly, the other person stops talking. They look at you, they ask you a difficult question, and then silence.
Exactly. Silence. Your mind goes blank. Your heart starts beating fast. You know the words in English, but you cannot find them. You feel like you need to answer immediately, right now, in 1 second. If you don't answer immediately, you feel like you are failing.
That is the worst feeling. We call this the panic gap. It is that empty space between the question and your answer. When we panic, we freeze. And when we freeze, our English grammar disappears. We forget simple words. We stop breathing.
But here is the secret, Mark. Native speakers need time to think too. We do not have the answers instantly, but we do something different. We do not stand there in silence. We use special phrases to buy time. We use words to fill that silence while our brain is working.
That is right. We call these thinking phrases or delay phrases. They are like magic tools. They stop the silence. They make you sound fluent. And most importantly, they give your brain 3 or 4 extra seconds to find the right words.
Today, we are going to practice these phrases together. We are not just going to learn them. We are going to shadow them. I want you to speak out loud with us. We will practice 3 specific techniques to buy time. If you use these techniques, you will never have to stand in awkward silence again. Mark, are you ready to get started?
I am ready. And to our listeners, if you want to become more confident in every episode, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It helps us create more lessons like this for you. Okay, Sarah, what is the first technique?
The first technique is what I call the honest delay. Sometimes the best way to buy time is to tell the other person that you are thinking, but you do it in a polite, complimentary way. You don't just say or You use a full sentence that flatters the other person.
I love this one. It works because it makes the other person feel good. If I ask you a hard question and you say, "That's a really interesting question," I feel smart. I feel like I asked something good. And while I'm feeling happy, you have time to think.
Exactly. It changes the energy of the conversation. Instead of you feeling pressure, you are giving a compliment. Let's look at the first phrase. The phrase is, "That's a really interesting question. Let me think about that."
That is a perfect phrase. It is natural, it is polite, and it takes about 3 or 4 seconds to say. That's 3 or 4 seconds of thinking time for your brain.
Let's break it down. The first part is, "That's a really interesting question." Notice the stress on the word really. We don't say, "That is a really interesting question," like a robot. We say, "That's a really interesting question." It shows emotion.
And then the second part, "Let me think about that." This is the honest part. You are telling them, "I am not a machine. I am a human, and I am considering your idea carefully." It makes you look thoughtful, not slow.
Exactly. Thoughtful, not slow. Okay, let's practice this. I'm going to say the phrase slowly. I want you to listen to my rhythm. Then there will be a pause. I want you to repeat it out loud exactly as I said it. Are you ready? Here we go. "That's a really interesting question."
Now you try. Speak out loud.
Let me think about that.
Your turn.
Now let's put it together. Listen to the flow. "That's a really interesting question. Let me think about that."
Go ahead. Say the whole thing.
Great job. Did you feel the rhythm? It is calm. You don't need to rush this phrase. In fact, if you say it slowly, it sounds even better. It sounds like you are deeply considering the topic.
Let's try a variation of this, Sarah. Sometimes the topic isn't a question. Maybe someone is asking for your opinion on a situation. What can we say then?
That is a good point. If it's not a direct question, you can say, "That is such a good point. I've never thought about it like that."
Oh, I like that one. I've never thought about it like that. That buys you a lot of time. It implies that the idea is new to you, so it is okay if you take a moment to formulate your answer.
Precisely. It gives you permission to pause. Let's practice this one. It is a bit longer, so we'll break it into 2 parts again. First part, "That is such a good point." Notice I used such for emphasis. That is such a good point.
You try it.
Second part, "I've never thought about it like that."
Be careful with the pronunciation of thought. Thought. I've never thought about it like that.
Give it a try.
Now, the whole phrase together. That is such a good point. I've never thought about it like that.
Nice and slow. You try.
Excellent. Now, Mark, I want to role play this. I want to show our listeners how this works in a real conversation. I am going to ask you a difficult question. I want you to use one of these phrases to buy time, pause, and then give me a simple answer.
Okay, I am ready. Put me on the spot.
Mark, do you think that technology is making people more lonely these days?
That's a really interesting question. Let me think about that. I think, yes, sometimes it does make us lonely because we look at screens instead of faces.
Did you hear that? Mark did not answer yes immediately. He used the phrase. It gave him time to organize his sentence. He sounded calm. He sounded in control.
And honestly, Sarah, I needed that time. I wasn't sure what I wanted to say. Saying the phrase allowed me to breathe.
That is the power of the honest delay. Use it when you are surprised. Use it when the question is difficult. It is your shield against panic.
Okay, Sarah, what is the second technique? Sometimes we don't just need time to think. Sometimes we genuinely are not sure what the other person means.
Right. This leads us to technique number 2, the clarification. This is a brilliant strategy because it puts the work back on the other person. If you ask a question to clarify, the other person has to speak again. While they are speaking, you have time to relax and think.
This is so useful. Often when I am learning a new language, I understand maybe 80% of what someone says, but I am scared to answer because I might be wrong about the other 20%.
Exactly. And instead of guessing and making a mistake, you can use a clarification phrase. It shows you are listening actively. The phrase we will practice is, "Do you mean that?" followed by a summary of what you think they said.
Or, if you want a set phrase that works for almost anything, you can say, "Just to be sure I understand, are you asking about?" and then repeat the topic.
Let's practice that second one. It is very versatile. Just to be sure I understand. This is a polite way to stop the conversation for a second. It signals that you care about getting the answer right.
Let's try shadowing that part first. Just to be sure I understand. Listen to the intonation. It goes up a little bit at the end of understand.
Listen to me. Just to be sure I understand. Now you say it.
One more time. Just to be sure I understand.
Now let's add the second half. Are you asking about my opinion? This is a great ending if you think they want your opinion, but you aren't sure.
Are you asking about my opinion? Try that.
Let's put it all together. Imagine someone asked you a long, confusing question about politics or news. You just want to check. You say, "Just to be sure I understand, are you asking about my opinion?"
Your turn. Speak clearly.
Very good. Now, let's try a shorter, more casual version. This is great for daily life. Imagine you are at work or at a cafe. Someone says something fast. You can simply say, "Wait, do you mean?"
That is a very common native speaker phrase. Wait, do you mean? It cuts through the confusion.
Let's practice a specific scenario. Someone asks, "Do you want to go out?" You aren't sure if they mean now or later. You can say, "Do you mean right now?"
It is simple, but it saves you from answering the wrong question. Let's practice the rhythm. Do you mean right now? The stress is on mean and now.
Listen, do you mean right now? Your turn.
Let's try another one. Do you mean calling him?
Do you mean calling him? Your turn.
These short questions are excellent time buyers. They force the other person to say, "Yes, exactly, I mean calling him on the phone." That gives you 5 more seconds of listening time to prepare your grammar.
And it makes the conversation a two-way street. You are not just a passive listener. You are managing the conversation. That is confidence.
So we have the honest delay and the clarification. What is the third technique, Sarah?
The third technique is the bridge. Sometimes you know the answer. You understand the question, but you need to find the grammar. You need to find the verb. You need to connect your ideas. You need a bridge to get from silence to your sentence.
I use these all the time. These are those little filler words that native speakers use. But we don't want to just teach you and ah. We want to teach you professional, natural bridges.
Right. A bridge phrase signals that an answer is coming. It holds the floor. It keeps the other person from interrupting you. My favorite bridge phrase is, "Well, the thing is."
Oh, that is a classic. Well, the thing is, it sounds so natural. It tells the listener, here comes my main point.
And grammatically, it is very easy. You can say, "Well, the thing is," and then follow it with any sentence. Well, the thing is, I am busy. Well, the thing is, I don't like pizza. It works for everything.
Let's practice the pronunciation. We often connect the words. Well, the thing is. It almost sounds like one long word.
Listen to the flow. Well, the thing is, notice the TH sound in thing, soft TH. Well, the thing is.
Now you try it. Keep it smooth.
Let's try another variation. This one is very common when you are sharing an opinion or a thought. Actually, to be honest.
Actually, to be honest, this is great. It makes your answers sound sincere. Even if you aren't revealing a big secret, starting with actually, to be honest, makes people listen closer.
And it takes about 2 seconds to say. 2 precious seconds to find your next word. Let's practice. Actually, to be honest.
Your turn.
Let's combine it with a sentence. Actually, to be honest, I prefer coffee.
Try that.
Actually, to be honest, I am not sure.
Try that one. It is okay to admit you aren't sure.
That is a great point, Mark. Actually, to be honest, I am not sure is a complete, perfect English sentence. If you say that, you are speaking fluent English. You don't always need a complex opinion.
So, Sarah, we have these 3 buckets of phrases. The honest delay for when we need deep thinking, the clarification for when we are confused, and the bridge for when we are starting our sentence. But knowing them is different from using them under pressure.
You are absolutely right, and that is why we are going to do a simulation. This is the most important part of today's lesson. We are going to do a pressure test.
A pressure test. That sounds intense, but don't worry, listeners. It is a safe space. Here's how it works. Sarah is going to ask you a question, a real question, like you might hear at a dinner party or a job interview.
When I ask the question, I want you to do 2 things. First, do not answer immediately. Resist the urge to speak fast. Take a breath. Second, use one of the phrases we learned today. It can be any of them. Say the phrase out loud. Then, give a simple answer.
We will leave a long pause in the audio. This silence is for you. Fill that silence with your phrase and your answer. I will try the first one as a demo. Sarah, ask me a question.
Okay, Mark, here is your question. What is the best way to relax after a long day at work?
Pausing. That is a really good question. For me, the best way is to take a long walk outside.
Perfect. Mark used the honest delay. That is a really good question. He paused, then he gave a simple answer. Take a long walk. He didn't use complicated grammar, but he sounded great.
Now it's your turn. We are going to do 3 rounds. Are you ready? Sit up straight. Take a deep breath. Here comes question number 1.
Question 1. Do you prefer watching movies at home or going to the cinema?
Wait for the listener to speak.
Did you do it? Did you use a phrase? Maybe you said, well, the thing is, I prefer home. Or maybe, that's an interesting question. I like the cinema. Any phrase is good.
Let's try question number 2. This one is a little bit harder. Remember, use a phrase to buy time.
Question 2. What is the most difficult thing about learning English?
Wait for the listener to speak.
Good job. That is a tough question. You could have said, actually, to be honest, grammar is hard. Or, that's such a good point. Speaking is the hardest.
I hope you are saying these out loud. If you are on the bus or the train, you can whisper them, but moving your mouth is important. Muscle memory is key.
Okay, last one. Question number 3. I want you to try using a clarification phrase for this one, or an honest delay, whatever feels right.
Here we go.
Question 3. Do you think people will travel more or less in the future?
Wait for the listener to speak.
Excellent work. That was a big, abstract question. It is very normal to need time for that. You could say, let me think about that. I think people will travel more.
How did that feel? I bet the silence felt a little less scary because you had a shield. You had a phrase ready to go.
That is the goal of today's lesson. We want to change your relationship with silence. Silence is not your enemy. Silence is a tool if you know how to fill it.
The more you practice these fillers, the more natural they will become. At first, you might feel like you are acting. That is a really interesting question. It might feel dramatic, but to the listener, it just sounds friendly.
It gives you confidence. And when you are confident, your English flows better. You make fewer mistakes because you are not rushing. You are giving your brain the oxygen it needs to work.
So we have a challenge for you for this week. We call it the One Phrase Challenge.
Yes. For the next 7 days, every time you have a conversation in English Or even if you are just practicing by yourself, I want you to use one of these phrases, even if you know the answer immediately.
Right. Even if someone asks, "What is your name?" you can jokingly say, "That's a really interesting question. My name is Mark."
Exactly. Play with it. Get comfortable with the words in your mouth. Well, the thing is, actually, to be honest, do you mean make them your best friends?
If you do this, you will stop translating in your head and start reacting. You will see that you can handle any conversation, no matter how difficult, because you know how to buy time.
Thank you so much for joining us in the English Speaking Corner today. We hope this lesson brings you a little more calm and a lot more confidence.
If you found this helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps other learners find this quiet space to study.
Keep practicing, speak slowly, and remember, you do not need to be fast to be fluent. You just need to be clear. We will see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.